Hello, are we live? Are we live? Are we live? I think so. Hope you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me as soon as you get in here, guys. If you are watching the replay, hi, thanks for watching. So glad to see you. Hello, Lori. How are you? Let me know if you can hear me okay, guys. Okay, so I'm doing this live stream today. If you guys are catching the replay, thanks for watching the replay. If you're catching this live, thanks for watching the live. It's fun to be live with you guys. I got a bunch of you on here already. Make sure to give me a thumbs up. Make sure to comment and let me know where you're watching from right now. And let's see, it's 4 p.m. here Pacific, so that means it's like 7 Eastern. And many people are probably coming home from work or finishing dinner or that sort of thing. Let me know what you guys are doing, where you're watching from, in the comment section over there. So I'm going to jump into, so Lori's watching from New York. Awesome. I'm going to jump into my topic here so we don't take up too much time with the pleasantries. I had kind of a long day today. I went for a hike in the morning, which I haven't done in so long. It was really, really nice. I got to see the sunrise. We got someone from Sharon from Michigan, Grace from Wyoming. Hey guys. And so that was awesome, but I got up super early at like 4:15, which is not usual for me. So then this is my day to sort of hang out with the daughter. So we went to the library and did story time, which was really fun. Laura is here from Utah. Miss Janice is here from Virginia. We got Samantha from South Dakota. So happy to see you guys. Make sure you guys give me a thumbs up, comment if you guys have any questions. This is a lesson, but it's also a Q&A session. So I'm going to get to some questions after that, and I'll try to go in the order that I received them. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them into that bar there on the side. So we went to story time, and that was really fun. And then I tried to get home to do this at like 3 p.m., but then she decided to eat like a cup and a half of blueberries during lunchtime, which was like, one at a time. And I'm like, So that's why it took me a little bit longer today, but that's okay. It was really cute, and she loved her blueberries, so that was fun. So I just put her down for a nap. These videos I'm doing, by the way, I'm going to try to do one a week. So if you have any questions for me at all, let me just sort of hold them for the week and come onto this live video with me, and you can get some questions answered, hopefully on a weekly basis. What I'm planning to do is half an hour on Tuesday afternoons, give or take an hour from about 3 p.m., but it's just going to depend on when her nap time is and that sort of thing. So you got to be patient with me today. I made it before 4, which was a miracle. Bring your questions. What I'm planning on doing is a couple weeks ago, I started this on Facebook, and I meant to do this every week, but it's not always going to be perfect. I missed last week, but I mean to rotate the social media networks. So I did Facebook first, then I'm doing YouTube now. I'm going to do Instagram next week, hopefully, but I'm just keep rotating like that. So then the following week would be Facebook and then YouTube. So I'm just going to try that out for a bit and see how that goes. But this way I can get at least some live time with you guys every week, which would be really fun. So I'm going to jump into my topic here. What I'm going to be doing is just giving a little bit of lesson, and then I'm going to be taking Q&A. So if there is any Q&A, otherwise I will just keep blabbing. Okay. So our topic for today is an intro to your primitive brain. And I like to, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm an Eat to Live Nutritarian coach. I do private coaching. I have this YouTube channel, and I basically talk about the Eat to Live lifestyle, which is a high nutrient, whole foods, plant-based lifestyle by Dr. Joel Fuhrman from the book Eat to Live. That's what I talk about all the time here. And I think it's the best way to live. And what I've done is I've been doing this lifestyle for like 6 years. I love it so much. And I've turned this into kind of my career, where I'm also privately coaching folks to learn how to do this lifestyle themselves long term, which is so much fun because it ends up being it's actual life coaching. So we deal with the thoughts and we deal with the mindset of how this works. And what I wanted to mention to you guys today, this is kind of a fun announcement. It's really exciting. Hey, Joe from Minnesota. I am also doing, which I've been doing for a while, but I wanted to kind of start talking about it a little bit more because it's really fun. I've been doing some group coaching on my Patreon channel. So if you haven't checked out my Patreon channel, make sure you check it out. I've got some amazing patrons on there already that have been with me for a long time since I started it back in 2018. I got some amazing people on there that are helping me build my business and this channel and my mission, just trying to get that out there more. Check out my Patreon channel because it's a place where you can sort of sponsor me on a monthly basis because I need all the help I can get to get this message out there more and just grow and grow and grow. But what I do in return for you on Patreon is actually the thing that I want to talk about today is briefly the Berry Buddies level, which is the highest level that's available on there right now. I've got like 10 or 12 people in there currently that are getting group coaching from me. And it's similar to what we're doing here. That's what I kind of want to talk about a little bit. I do a lesson on mindset and, you know, how to do this lifestyle, etc., every single month with them. And then we do actual group coaching, which is really fun because I'll coach somebody face to face. Everyone else will see us coaching. And it's as if we were doing a little private coaching session. And they get their question answered, whatever they might be struggling with that at that moment. And everyone else can kind of see my answer and see how I would coach them. And it's really interactive and really fun. So last month, or this current month, we did a big lesson, took about 45 minutes on a particular topic that really dives deep and gets into like the heart of the struggle. And then I coached 2 brave volunteers. I'm going to be sharing that video with you soon so you can kind of see how that works. But in the meantime, just check out my Patreon, check out the group coaching. It's quite affordable to get some very in-depth and sort of like almost semi-private coaching from me, okay? So check that out, patreon.com/thewateringmouth. There's a link for it in the description as well, okay? So the topic today, Intro to Your Primitive Brain, is important because this is a thing that I often talk about in the very beginning with my private coaching clients when I first start a relationship with them. Because we kind of have to understand where we're coming from to know where we need to go, if that makes sense. I often, I'm thinking to myself about why I do what I do, why I have the habits I have, and all that sort of a thing. And it helps me to kind of see where I'm going as well. Hi, Jolene and Sharon from Florida. Happy to see you guys. Thanks for coming on. So when I'm looking at my own journey and wondering how I can improve and maybe I'm having a tough spot, I often will refer to the information I'm about to give you as something to just kind of help me through a bit. So let's talk about that and what I kind of talk about with my clients in the beginning, which is about your primitive brain. And if you haven't heard this stuff before, awesome. But if you have, pay attention anyways, because it's always good to hear this stuff again, just hear it in a different way. And every time I say it in a different way. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. So I first started learning about sort of the science of the primitive brain a couple of years ago. I was reading a book called Brain Over Binge, which I really, really like. And then I started reading a lot more about the topic, and it just really spoke to me as something that I think is important for us to consider when we're struggling or when we're trying to get better at our healthy eating journey. So I'm going to simplify the heck out of this because I think that is important. We need to just kind of have things simple so we can retain them better. So the idea I want to introduce you to is that there's 2 sides of our brain. And as I said, this is very simplified and this is not super scientific, but just bear with me because this is a good way of thinking of it. So I like to think of the primitive side of our brain as being this like back part here. I think this is near the hypothalamus, or is the hypothalamus. I don't really know. It doesn't matter. But I think of it like the back part of the lower brain down here, the primitive side. Then we have the advanced side. We have the another way you can think of this would be like the child side or the adult side of the brain, the primitive side of the brain or the advanced side of the brain, okay? So I think of the primitive side back here, and I think of the advanced side up here. So primitive meaning the side of the brain, the half of the brain, so to speak, that allows us to get warning messages. That's what I like to think of it like. It's basically our warning system. like, don't step in front of that bus, right? You're about to die, flashing lights. Hey, watch out. This bad thing is about to happen to you. That's what I like to think of. Fred, oh my gosh, you guys, I got to call out Fred real quick. In the live chat, maybe you can see it. Fred just donated some money to the cause, $10. That is so generous. Thank you, Fred. It means so much, and you are welcome for all I do. I really appreciate it. And you guys can see his call out. If you guys could thank Fred, that would be awesome. I appreciate it, Fred. That really helps so much. So we've got this side of our brain that is, and we call it the primitive side because it's the half of the brain that we've had forever, for like 2 million years. It's the side of the brain that keeps us alive in a very basic sense of the term. It just makes sure that we don't die, like right now. And it's concerned more with this right now, instant, this moment type of activity. And we'll get more into that in just a second. Then we've got the upper adult advanced part of our brain, which is the frontal lobe. Now the frontal lobe, I don't know how old it is. It's like a couple 100,000 years or something like that old. So we haven't had it for very long compared to the primitive side of our brain. The frontal lobe also has the prefrontal cortex, which when you hear about people having strokes or having car accidents or things like this, and then they lose this part of their brain, right? Or something happens where their language is messed up, or they can't, they don't have the right, social cues, and maybe they get angry more than they used to or something. You hear about these cases. That's because of frontal lobe damage, because the frontal lobe is concerned with rational thought, with rational decision making. So think of the brain in two different parts. You've got the primitive, don't die, don't show your butt to everybody. You got this primitive, quick actions right now, staying alive right now section back here. Then you've got this smart, like college educated, right? Like consider the difference between a toddler and a college educated adult who makes, oh my gosh, sorry guys. Well, this is not your show. She always thinks it's her show. Sorry. Thanks, Laura, for thanking Fred. I'm so appreciative, Fred. So you've got these two sides of the brain, and it's helpful to think of these two because of this. So we use this primitive side of our brain. We use this side and so I'm going to relate this to food now. We use this for decisions based on staying alive today. So what happens is this side of the brain, because it's concerned with staying alive right now, it gives us these really loud messages. Like for instance, right, if we were about to step in front of a bus, it would be like, oh my God, there's a bus right there, get out of the way. Really fast, really loud. It would sound like a voice in our mind that's telling us to avoid danger, right? It's also concerned with a couple other things. And if you've read the book, The Pleasure Trap, which by the way, you should, it's a fantastic book. It also talks about the other things that this side of the brain will do, the primitive side of the brain, which is to seek pleasure and do things efficiently. So there's three things. It likes to seek pleasure, do things efficiently, and avoid pain. So it's kind of just making us do those things all the time. So when we say seek pleasure, we mean, yeah, it likes pizza. It sees signals, big hits of dopamine when we eat pizza or when we eat cupcakes or when we eat high calorie, high fat, just shots of caloric energy creates these shots of dopamine, which teaches that primitive side of the brain that those foods are important. What it does is it teaches us that, yes, you should eat pizza. Yes, you should eat cookies. Yes, you should eat more of this stuff. And what it's doing is it's kind of supporting this these type of habits. It keeps giving us these messages because it really thinks those things are important because it sees a ton of dopamine, right? And when it sees a ton of dopamine, then it's going, remember this, keep eating this, keep eating this. The reason it does this, guys, is because it's concerned with staying alive right now. So if we get too few calories and it's like got its little calculator out going like, hold on, that's not how much we had yesterday, or that's not how much we've had for the last 10 years. You must be dying. That's exactly what it thinks. It starts to go, uh-oh, this person isn't eating enough. I need to get it to eat pizza. I need to get my human to eat, whatever. I need to get it to eat something high calorie because those foods must be important. This person has survived on it for this long, so that must be what they need to eat, right? So it's cute, but it's wrong, right? This side of the brain is, it's well-meaning, but it's wrong for long-term situations. For stepping in front of a bus, it's awesome, super important, right? For, say you are lost in the desert and you haven't had water in a day, that side of the brain is going to get really freaking loud. Like, you need to drink water. You're thirsty. Drink, 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 drink. So then it's going to make that priority for you, drinking water. Seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be efficient. And so it's going to just get you to, like, that's another way to think of it. Be efficient with your calories, right? Like, eat as many calories as you can at a time, because that's efficient, because that means you're not expending too much energy looking for food or creating food or things like this. So it's going to be loud about those kinds of messages, okay? So very interesting about this side of the brain, but also not super helpful for long-term health. So the fun part of the brain that we actually should be using is our prefrontal cortex, is our frontal lobe, for rational decision-making, because what that does is allows us to decide what to eat based on long-term health. So when we read the book Eat to Live, what happens is we go from a lifetime of listening to this side of our brain, just thinking that it's facts, right? We hear these things like, oh, you need to eat pizza, or you need to eat cupcakes, or you need to eat cookies or bread or whatever, because of a lot of programming from years and years and years. So we're hearing these messages thinking that they're important messages, right? But they're actually not. They're just like programmed stuff that isn't really helpful. So now is the sort of fun but really difficult part, is that in order to solve this issue of listening to this side of our brain for so long and this being a habit, we need to start using our prefrontal cortex instead. And this is what my private coaching is tasked with, helping you understand this. This is what my group coaching on Patreon does. We talk about this and how to use this. My whole coaching program is about how to start using this instead of this, how to stop listening to this and get here. And so we can think of our prefrontal cortex as the side of our brain, since it does the rational decision making. It goes, all right, pizza probably, here's what happens, right? You read the book Eat to Live, you go, oh, that makes sense. I should totally read those foods. And then you go to do it, and a week later, or 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, you're starting to crave those old foods because your primitive brain is going, oh my God, we're going to die. You're not having enough calories, right? And then what we need to do with that information is we need to train this part of our brain in order to talk to this part of our brain and go, it's cool, dude. It's totally okay. We don't need that many calories as we've been having. We actually can survive on quite a few less calories as long as they're quality and we're getting some good fiber and amazing nutrients. We can survive on this. So the issue then becomes, how do we get over the sort of addiction part, right? Because this primitive side of the brain is used to being addicted to the fun foods, right? Standard American diet foods. So how do we get through that section of really difficult time to start to listen to our, changing taste buds and the way that we think about food, and to reduce those signals that our primitive brain is giving us, etc. That part is the part that could be difficult. And it's the part that can take a long time too, depending on how well you're training it, how much you're training it, how much of the good food you're eating and all that, right? So, this might be kind of all I wanted to say on this lesson, because I really want to just do about 15 minutes on these lessons every time I do a live video, and then allow some time for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, in the sidebar here in the chat, the live chat window, send in some questions if you have some. If you don't have any, I'm going to just keep talking for a couple more minutes, and if no questions come up, then we'll just end the session. But I kind of want to just sort of give it a sort of intro to this, just so you guys have an idea of what's going on with our brain and how we can start to just understand what's happening with us and why we're having such strong signals for junk, that sort of a thing, okay? So you want to think, this is kind of a funny thing to think about. I like to think of this primitive side of our brain as like a robot wearing a costume that looks like us, right? So like I have this robot back here that is wearing a costume or is using a voice that sounds exactly like my voice. And it keeps screaming at me in my voice. And I think that it's super important. I think that it's super, telling the truth and all that. And it sounds just like me, right? When actually it's just a robot that's programmed to get us to do things that aren't necessarily correct. So that's one way to think of it. Fred says, when will you have openings with coaching? I technically have openings right now. It's just that what I'm doing, and I know it says on my website that I don't have openings, but I kind of do. What I'm doing is I have an application process on my website. So you start the application, give me some information about yourself, and I review those applications, and I kind of qualify if I think that you would be a good fit. And once I've decided if you're going to kind of fit into that program, because I only take 5 to 6 people at a time, and right now I have 5 clients, but I think I'm going to take on 1 or 2 more right now. So then I kind of qualify, and I will invite you to a 30-minute free 30-minute consultation, and then we can get started if it feels like it's going to be a fit. So if you're interested in private coaching, check out thewateringmouth.com/Nutritarian-coaching, or just go to my website and you can find the coaching page. You can get your application started there. If private coaching doesn't seem like something that you want to get into for whatever reason, I highly, highly suggest the group coaching on Patreon. It is a super great group way to see, and you don't even have to ask questions in the beginning. You can just go on to one of those sessions and see someone else get coached and see if it's something that you want to be brave enough to ask in front of a few other people. But it's such a cool environment because we learn from each other. So one person will bring their struggle, and you would be amazed to hear how closely yours will relate, or what you will pick up just from hearing someone else talk about their own struggle. So that's a great way to get in, especially if you can't get into my private coaching right now. So that is my suggestion. If you're interested in further, like if you really like the stuff I'm saying and you're interested in knowing more and how you can use this in your own life and how you can train your own prefrontal cortex and use your mindset and all that, and the life coaching techniques that I use in my private coaching, if you want to take that next step, it's either Patreon or it's private coaching with me. And I was, so I told you guys I was hiking with a friend this morning. His name is Pepe. And let me actually see if I can show you a little picture real quick from this morning. And I was talking to him about what I've been, so here's one. There was a horse on the trail, a wild horse, which I've never seen a wild horse before. That was super cool. And then here's me and Pepe on one of the trails that we did this morning. And let me see if I got another one that's cool. There's a little, this is it's not like that great, but see if you can see kind of the sun when it was rising this morning was like on fire, and it was casting this sort of fiery glow all over the trees on the other side of us. See, look at that. It was so beautiful. So we had a lot of fun today. And I was on the trail with him, and we were talking about my site and what I've been doing and all that. And I started to get so excited, you guys, and I'm going to start to say this more. I believe with 100% of my heart that the program I'm creating is the most powerful thing in the world, and it is going to take over. You take the Nutritarian diet and you combine it with the most powerful life coaching techniques in the world to not only know what foods to eat for longevity, but how to eat them and how to combat that brain. What I'm creating for you guys in my group coaching and in my private coaching and in more offerings in the future. Look out in August, because I'm going to be doing a 6-week course about this kind of stuff too. Whatever I'm giving out, you guys, you must look at it. And I feel it in every single ounce of my bones and my body that this is going to be the most powerful thing that you've ever done before. It's not even like a diet or anything like that. It's like, how do you get your thoughts in line with what you should be doing? And I know how to teach it. And that's what I'm doing with my private clients. And that's what I'm doing on my group coaching. And I'm going to try to offer it to everyone in as many ways as I can. So just keep an eye out, because I'm just so excited about this. And I truly believe that it will change your life if you let it. Let me get to, so Jillian says, is this similar to positive self-talk? I used to talk to myself out loud when I'm struggling. Yeah, I use it to talk to myself out loud when I'm struggling. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the end game. That's where we want to get, Jillian. My coaching deals specifically with where we are now. So in the private coaching that I do with people, we start exactly with where you are. We look at the thoughts you're having now, and we see how those thoughts are creating your current results. And then we work through how to get to the thoughts that are going to create positive results. And then specifically, we work through how to get through that change, how to get through where you are now to where you need to be long-term for the rest of your life on this, and to have the ability to do it yourself in your own brain. This is the thing that I think is so exciting about all of this. It's not accountability. Like, there's some accountability involved, but that's not what this is. Because if I was just a coach that dealt with accountability, which most coaches do nowadays, that would be something you'd have to hire me for the rest of your life. That would be like saying, I need to hold your hand for the rest of your life in order for you to be successful. And I don't believe that is the way we need to do it. I believe truly that we all have the ability to change our thoughts and to get to the place that's going to create this positive change and momentum for us into a lifetime of this upward stroke, right? We get to this place where, oh wow, I'm not even close to where I used to be. And we just keep getting better and better. And that's why, the motto of my site is just keep going. The motto of what I do is just keep going, because as long as we keep going, we just keep getting better and better. And so yes, it is positive self-talk, but it's different than saying like, I'm having a hard time. I just need to think better, right? Like, I just need to say something nice to myself or whatever. That's not necessarily what it is. It deals more specifically with where we are now and how we get to positive self-talk. Because it's one thing to say, oh, just think happy thoughts, right? And it's another to actually do that long-term, ongoing for the rest of your life. So that's kind of what that deals with. So Susan says, I mentioned that I stopped using dates. Can I say more about that and what you're doing instead? Yeah, so the reason that I stopped using dates, Susan, is because I was a complete sugar addict and a carb addict. And it was like oatmeal and things like that would set me off. And it was just, and I was using dates too much for snacking and stuff like that. So I thought, if and I have an interview with Dr. Furman where he said something like, the way to get over addiction is to give up the thing that you're addicted to. So I was like, I guess I'll admit out loud that I'm addicted to dates. So interestingly enough, I gave them up. And immediately I started liking bananas, which I'd never liked bananas before. I always hated them. I had to cover up the flavor. And within just a few days, I started to enjoy the flavor of bananas, which was so weird to me. And since then, I'm at a place now with dates where I can think about dates and they don't even sound appealing to me. Like, oh, I would have a date. That's a great dessert. Or I want to make some walnut date bars or something. Like, it's not even an interest for me anymore. And it used to be a very strong interest. Now I use dates again a little bit in my smoothies or things like that. And it's not a trigger anymore. So it was just this sort of temporary thing I did actually. And I haven't talked about the fact that I started using them a bit again. And it's just been great because it's helped with the sugar stuff and that sort of thing. So let's see. Susan says, totally attest to the power of the group. It's so helpful in many ways. I totally agree. And I think that group coaching is, in a way, it gives you a depth that you can't get from private coaching either. Like, private coaching, I think, is like, the Rolls Royce of coaching, because I specifically deal with every single thing that comes up on a weekly basis. And we go through and kind of surgically get into what your specific things are. But group coaching to me is so cool. And I also get group coaching myself. I hire my own coaches. I completely believe in the idea of coaching. I think it's so important. I pay a lot of money for my own coaches too, to kind of keep me on my game with this. Also my coaching certification and all that as well. So I totally believe in this stuff and I spend my own money on it as well. But I think that group coaching is so amazing because you can watch someone else have, their struggles. You can completely relate it, because the thing is, all of our issues and all of our struggles, they all come down to just the same several issues. Like, we think we're not worthy. We think we're not good enough. We think we'll never amount to anything. It's just all based on worthiness. Every struggle that we have kind of comes down to that. So how can we increase that awareness of who we are and what we are, and that we are, we're 100% amazing right now. We don't need anything to change us, but if we want to, we can, and we have the ability to do that. It's kind of all based on this type of stuff. And it is just, since I've been doing it, has changed my life, changed my journey, changed my thought pattern inside my own head, how I think about myself, and how I, if I mess up or if I'm not doing as well, it's just a completely different experience than it used to be. And that's what keeps you going long term, feeling good and all that. Fred says, sorry, I have to leave. He'll do the application and just join Patreon. Oh, Fred, thank you so much. It means so much to me, you guys. Even if you join Patreon just for some of the little benefits that you can get down in the lower levels, it's amazing. But the group coaching, really, you guys, really, you got to check it out. So it's patreon.com/thewateringmouth. I have a link for it in the description of this video as well. I really hope to see you guys in there. We do this once a month. And for those of you who join Patreon, at some point, I'm almost positive I'm going to be doing a huge group coaching thing myself without Patreon. Maybe at the beginning of the year or sometime in the next few months. I'm not sure, but I'm going to offer my own group coaching on my own site. And you want to get in on Patreon if you can first, because it's a good way to kind of get your mind around what it will do for you. And then people who have joined Patreon just may get some type of a discount when I offer that program in the future. And Miss Iris says, I am not Nutritarian, but I think you are a wonderful person and a great inspiration. That's wonderful, Iris. Thank you so much. But I want to say something about that, actually. Though my channel talks all about Nutritarian eating, the mindset stuff that I do applies to any diet that you're following. I mean, you could literally be following a standard American diet and you can still use these techniques. So this is really important to me to kind of convey, because you do not have to be a Nutritarian to get benefits of what I'm talking about. Generally, I'm not, especially in the group coaching, I'm generally not talking about Nutritarian stuff. We're talking about the mindset. We're talking about the struggle of it all. And that's what the group coaching does. So just keep in mind, guys, keep that in mind. And so Joe says, I'm going to be traveling over the next month and we'll contact you about coaching sessions when I get back. Sounds like what I need. Awesome, Joe. I'm so glad. Okay, well, I've gone a little bit over here, you guys, but I wanted to try to get most of the questions. I have all the questions answered, so that's great. As a recap, check out the group coaching on Patreon. Check out my private coaching if you're interested. I'm only taking 1 or 2 people. So if you don't get into private coaching right now, don't worry, because I still have some people from my wait list that I need to reach out to. But as long as you get your name on there, I will certainly contact you when I have future openings. Get into Patreon while you can, because it's so much fun. We do this once a month, and I am going to be doing some type of group coaching on a weekly basis sometime in the near future. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that this lesson was interesting for you. If it was, let me know down below what struck you the most, what resonated with you. Let's talk about it a little bit. I'm going to be publishing another video tomorrow. I think it's going to be tomorrow about a mindset technique. And then I think next week is going to be another what I eat in a day. So we got some amazing stuff coming up. Thanks so much for being here live. Lori, she says, you guys should reach out for personal coaching. She's awesome. Lori is one of my lovely former clients, and I wish you so much love, Lori. It was such a pleasure to work with you. And Alyssa, good to see you late, but you can watch the replay. Okay, guys, thanks so much for showing up. And remember, this is going to be a weekly thing, hopefully. Don't show everyone your butt again. Weekly thing on a rotating basis, social media. So next week, hopefully, will be Instagram, and then I'll just go down the line like that. So it'll be around 3 p.m. Pacific, give or take an hour or so, depending on daughter's nap time. And I just thank you for being here and showing me the love. So check the links for everything I talked about in the description of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye. Jill, I love you too. And I love the what I eat in a day videos. I'm glad you love those. Okay, bye.